My wedding looked perfect. Until I saw my parents. Standing in the back. No seats. No one talking to them. No one even noticing they were there. While my husband's family, they had taken over everything. Front rows. Center stage. Laughing like it was their celebration. Not mine. And my parents. They didn't complain. They didn't say a word. They just stood there, smiling through the humiliation. That's when something inside me snapped. Because in that moment, I realized, if I stayed silent, I was just as guilty as them. So instead of pretending everything was fine, I walked up, grabbed the mic, and told everyone the truth. Growing up, my parents didn't have much, but they gave me everything that mattered. They worked long hours, made sacrifices I didn't fully understand at the time, and still showed up for every important moment in my life. School events, birthdays, milestones, they were always there. Not with expensive gifts or big gestures, but with support, love, and consistency. So when I got engaged, I made one promise to myself. No matter how big or fancy the wedding became, my parents would feel respected. They would feel like they belonged. At first, everything with my fiancé's family seemed normal. They were polite, welcoming, even excited about the wedding. But as planning went on, I started noticing small things. Decisions being made without including me. Changes happening without asking. Plans shifting in ways that slowly gave them more control. At first, I ignored it. Weddings can be stressful. People get involved. It happens. But then it kept happening. Guest lists adjusted. Seating arrangements changed. Vendors contacted without my knowledge. And somehow, every change seemed to benefit their side of the family. I told myself it wasn't intentional. I didn't want conflict. I didn't want drama. So I stayed quiet. Because I believed, at the end of the day, it would still be our wedding. And most importantly, my parents would be there, proud, smiling, feeling like they were part of something special. I had no idea how wrong I was about to be. The morning of the wedding felt surreal. Everything was moving fast, hair, makeup, people rushing in and out of the room. Music playing softly in the background, voices overlapping, last-minute details being handled. From the outside, it looked like everything was going perfectly. And for a while, I let myself believe that. I caught glimpses of myself in the mirror, dressed and ready, and thought, this is it. This is the day. But even in those moments, there was this quiet tension I couldn't ignore. It started small. My husband's family moving around like they were in charge of everything. Talking to vendors, giving instructions, changing little details without checking with me. At first, I told myself it was helpful. Maybe they were just trying to make things run smoothly. But then it kept happening. Every time I asked a question, someone already had an answer. Every time I suggested something, it had already been changed. And slowly, I started to feel like a guest at my own wedding. I pushed the feeling down. Because I didn't want to ruin the day. Because I kept telling myself, once the ceremony starts, everything will fall into place. Then the ceremony began. The music played. Guests stood. Everything looked exactly the way it was supposed to. I walked down the aisle, trying to focus on the moment, trying to stay present. And that's when my eyes drifted to the side. I saw my husband's family sitting right at the front. Perfect seats. Clothes visible, included in every part of the moment. Naturally. Then I looked for my parents. At first, I couldn't find them. I scanned the front rows again and again. Nothing. A small feeling of panic started to rise in my chest. Where were they? Then finally, I saw them. Not in the front. Not even in the second or third row. They were standing off to the side. Near the back. Like they didn't have a place. Like they didn't belong there. For a second, I thought maybe they had just stepped aside temporarily. But as the ceremony continued, they didn't move. No one offered them seats. No one noticed. Or worse, no one cared. I saw my mom trying to smile, nodding politely when someone glanced her way. My dad stood beside her, hands clasped, pretending everything was fine. Trying not to draw attention. Trying not to ruin my moment. And in that second, something inside me shifted. Because this wasn't just a small mistake anymore. This wasn't bad planning. This was something else. Something deliberate. And for the first time that day, I wasn't thinking about the wedding anymore. I was thinking about them. I tried to focus on the ceremony. The vows. The words. The moment that was supposed to mean everything. But my attention kept drifting back to them. Every time I glanced toward the back, my parents were still there. Standing, quiet, out of place. Like they were trying to make themselves smaller, so no one would notice what was happening. But I noticed. And I couldn't unsee it. The ceremony ended, and everyone stood up, clapping, smiling, celebrating. People rushed forward to congratulate us. Hugging, laughing, taking photos. My husband's family surrounded us almost instantly, pulling us into pictures, giving directions, controlling where we stood, who came next. And in all that chaos, my parents were still nowhere near us. No one called them forward. No one made space. It was like they were invisible. I kept looking over shoulders, trying to find them in the crowd. And when I finally did, they were standing off to the side again. Waiting. Not interrupting. Not demanding anything. Just waiting for their turn. That never came. My mom caught my eye for a second. She smiled. That same polite, controlled smile. The kind that hides everything underneath. But I could see it. That small crack in her expression. That moment where the smile didn't quite reach her eyes. And my dad. He gave me a nod. Like everything was okay. Like he didn't mind. But I knew him. I knew what that look meant. He was holding it in. Holding everything in for me. So I could have my perfect day. And that's when it stopped feeling like a misunderstanding. Because too many moments had passed. Too many chances to fix it. Too many people had seen it and done nothing. This wasn't accidental anymore. This was neglect. Disrespect. And the worst part? It was happening right in front of me, on the one day that was supposed to honor the people who raised me. I felt my chest tighten again. That same pressure building, stronger this time. Because now I wasn't just noticing it. I was feeling it. Every second they stood there. Every moment they were overlooked. It was turning into something I couldn't ignore anymore. The reception started, and the energy shifted again. Music filled the room. Guests found their seats. Laughter slowly came back like nothing had happened. From the outside, it looked perfect. But I couldn't shake what I had seen. I kept scanning the room, trying to find my parents again. And when I did, they were sitting at a small table in the back. Not the front. Not even near it. A table that looked like it had been put together last minute. Like an afterthought. My chest tightened. Because at this point, it wasn't just about where they were standing earlier. It was everything. Every decision. Every moment. Every detail that pushed them further away from where they should have been. Then the speeches started. One by one, members of my husband's family went up. They laughed, told stories, shared memories. People clapped, smiled, cheered. But something was missing. Not once did anyone mention my parents. Not once did anyone thank them. Not once did anyone acknowledge the people who raised the bride. I sat there, listening, feeling that pressure build inside me again. Stronger now, harder to ignore. I looked at my husband for a moment. He seemed relaxed, comfortable, like everything was going exactly how it was supposed to. And that's when it hit me. No one else was going to say anything. No one else was even thinking about it. Because to them, this was normal. I looked back at my parents. They were quiet, listening, smiling politely when others laughed, trying to blend in a place where they should have stood out. My mom kept her hands folded in her lap, eyes focused on the stage. My dad leaned back slightly, nodding along with the speeches, pretending everything was fine. But I could see it. That same quiet hurt. That same effort to not make things uncomfortable. And suddenly, I felt something change inside me. Because this wasn't just about them being ignored anymore. This was about me. About the fact that I had seen it, from the beginning. And I chose to stay quiet. I told myself it would get better. I told myself it wasn't a big deal. But now, sitting there, watching it all unfold, I realized something I couldn't ignore anymore. If I didn't say something now, if I let this moment pass like everything else, then I wasn't just witnessing their disrespect. I was allowing it. And worse, I was teaching my parents that their silence mattered more than their dignity. That thought hit harder than anything else. Because they had spent their entire lives standing up for me. And now, it was my turn. I pushed my chair back and stood up. The sound cut through the room just enough to turn a few heads. For a second, I hesitated. Not because I didn't know what I wanted to do, but because I knew once I did it, there was no going back. Then I looked at my parents again. still sitting quietly at the back. And that was it. I walked straight toward the stage. Someone was just finishing their speech when I reached for the microphone. There was a brief pause, a confused look, but I didn't wait for permission. I took the mic. The room went silent almost instantly. Dozens of eyes locked onto me. Some curious, some confused, some already uncomfortable. I took a slow breath. I just want to say something real quick, I started. My voice was calm, steady, but there was something underneath it that people could feel. At first, a few people smiled, expecting the usual thank you speech. But I didn't look at them. I turned and pointed toward the back of the room. Before anything else, I need to thank the two people who made this entire day possible. The room followed my gaze. My parents. A shift. Subtle, but immediate. They've been sitting quietly this entire time, not asking for attention, not making a scene. I paused, letting the silence settle. But they deserved more than that. No one spoke. They deserved to be at the front. They deserved to be acknowledged. They deserved respect. The word hung in the air. Respect. I looked around the room now. If no one else was going to give that to them, I tightened my grip on the mic slightly. Then I will. I stepped down from the stage. Every eye followed me as I walked through the crowd, straight to the back. My parents looked up at me surprised. I didn't say anything. I just reached out, took their hands, and helped them stand. Then I walked them forward. Through the silence. Through the stairs. Right to the front. Exactly where they should have been all along. The room stayed quiet as I stood there with them. No applause. No whispers. Just silence. The kind that forces people to think about what they just witnessed. I didn't look around for reactions. I didn't need to. Because in that moment, it wasn't about anyone else anymore. It was about them. My parents stood beside me, a little surprised, a little emotional, but for the first time that entire day, they weren't in the background. They were where they belonged. Seen, respected, acknowledged. I squeezed their hands gently, and my mom looked at me with that same soft smile, but this time, it reached her eyes. My dad nodded slightly, like he always did, but this time, there was pride in it. And that was enough for me. Later, people tried to explain things. Apologize. Say it was all a misunderstanding. But I didn't argue. Because some things don't need explanations. They just need to be seen for what they are. That day taught me something I'll never forget. A wedding isn't about perfection. It's about who you choose to stand beside when it matters the most.